We'll call the meeting of the zoning board of appeals order at 5:46, and Doug's already noted the role. Appearances, is there anybody here that appear on an item that's not on the agenda? You guys are on the agenda, so it's not you.
Okay.
There's nobody else here and there's nobody in the Zoom rooms, so we'll close the appearance section. There is no minutes for approval tonight. We'll move on to item 5, which is a public hearing by James and Marcia Smecko. Right. And they're at 1304 Deposit Trail. They're requesting a variance for the Monona Municipal Code of Ordinance Section 480, 24D7C1, which is the accessory structure in the street yard setback for the purpose of constructing a new detached garage. And this is case number Z2 of 2025. And you guys are welcome to come up. It's broken up into 2 sections. This first section is a public hearing, meaning if there were other people here, for example,
Sure.
you would be sharing, what is it that you're wanting to do in a nutshell? And would give the public an opportunity to make a comment. There's nobody else here, so you can probably be pretty short in a nutshell. What are you trying to do? And we'll close that and then move on to consideration of action.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. You say garage.
Oh, okay.
So the easiest thing is, in a nutshell, if you ran into a neighbor and they said, hey, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to do?
Okay,
Well, we want to read our speech, and
Sure.
we're told to keep it brief, just
Yeah.
kind of highlight what's important that, we would want to talk about. And so I was wondering if I could just start that with a few of items that I have, and then if
Absolutely.
Jim could just finish out.
Yep.
And then we can ask if there's any questions.
Sounds
Okay,
great.
all right. Well, good evening and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Marcia Smecko and I've lived in Monona my entire life, which is 72 years. Jim has lived here for 70 years and we've lived in our current home for 45 years. So this city isn't just where I live, it's also my home and it will always be that. So that's why Jim and I are here tonight to respectfully request a variance to allow us to rebuild a new garage on our property. We truly need this new garage, not just for convenience, but for storage and functionality. Like many families, we've accumulated a lot of items over the years and things like tools and seasonal items or outdoor and water equipment that we don't have proper storage for. For example, when our existing garage was built in the 50s, snow removal equipment was 16 to 18-inch shovel. It's really changed since then. So our house is also on a floating slab, which that means there's no basement or crawl space. So there is simply no storage other than the garage. More importantly, though, having this new garage would help us stay in our home long-term. We're not looking to move. We want to stay, we want to grow and continue contributing to our neighborhood. And we love our neighborhood. But to do that, we need a new garage that meets our needs. So I appreciate your time and consideration, and I hope you see that this variance would not only help us maintain our home, but it will make us thrive in the community. So.
okay. Do I need to explain exactly what we're going to do? I thought we put the packet together and it was a pretty good packet.
Yep, we'll get to that in the next section. This is intended really for the public standpoint of what is the project that you're trying to do, and we
Okay.
give the public an opportunity to make comment. And
Okay,
as you see, there's nobody here lined up to
Okay.
make comment.
so I can just read what I have planned.
That would be
Okay.
appropriate.
Hello, my name is Jim Smecko. Just give you a little background on me. I'm a builder in Monona. I own and operate Altra Construction for 33 years. I specialize in custom homes and I do all my own designing of the custom homes. And I take my clients' needs, hobbies, and work, what they do, and try to build them a custom home that fits them. Before I opened construction, I was a union carpenter for 20 years, served an apprenticeship, and decided it was time for me to go in business for myself instead of making other people money. I'm here to request a variance for a new accessory structure to be located in the forward area of the lot. Street yard setback to match the existing structure at 26 feet, 2 inches, 0.2 inches. and enlarging the new structure 7'6" high, wider and 5'9" longer. Not a major increase in size. The home on our lot does not, like my wife said, does not have a crawl space, and so storage is very limited. And I cannot stress that enough, that it's very limited when you don't have a basement. We're proposing a garage size of 28 feet by 30 feet, not functionality and storage, but also to accommodate our proper drainage between the house and the garage. This is particularly important because of the lake levels, and our lot is one of the lower lots on the street, making water management a serious concern. Taking in last year, the lake level, everybody's talks about we were in a drought, but Lake Monona was 6 inches in mid-July below the 100-year flood. And I have data on showing that how many days that it was above summer max, how many days it was a foot above, how many days it was 18. Well, that really comes into play on behind the house, the drainage that we need for the roof down on the existing house. If you look at the elevations, you can see service doors are strategically located to create an open walkway around the vehicles for full accessibility. Really, the way it's designed is the 2 cars would be parked in there, and you could go straight into the door, walk right up, and then go right on around in there. It's kind of there for more or less that down the road, we're 72, I'm 72. If wheelchair, handicap, walker, whatever, that you can get it out relatively easy, whether it's me or my wife. Really want to stress that point so you can understand it is handicap accessible to ensure that we are able to live out our golden years here. I initially applied for a variance to match the setback of the existing garage, but I've since learned that because this is an accessory building, a different standard applies. There's some confusion I have, though, because the ordinance states, in the ordinance it says minimum setbacks, street yard 30 feet, but a 40% or more of the frontage on one side of the street between 2 intersecting streets has been developed with a setback other than the 30 feet. The street yard setback so established shall prevail. I was informed that that only pertains to the principal building. But below that, if you read below that, you get into accessory buildings on line 7. It says accessory buildings and structures, minimum setbacks, street yard setbacks. It actually reads same as principal building. So I'm not sure if I need or if I have to apply for a variance for the setback of 26 feet, because there is over 40% of the other garages that are unattached closer than the 30 feet. So I'm not sure, but we applied for it. Unfortunately, if we are required to meet the 30-foot setback, it would force us to change the garage width and the depth. And what I mean by that, we need the square footage. We have really figured out what size this garage has to be for our storage and everything. I even have in the plans, there's a truss that is, the trusses are storage trusses. Couldn't do room trusses, otherwise it would overwhelm the lot. And if we can't have that 18-foot setback there, I'd have to come up with a new design, which would make it wider and not as deep so that I could keep that 18 feet. The 18 feet by 28 feet is really roughly half of my house that drains there. Right now, currently, the whole roof drains that way. It was years ago that street, we didn't have curb or gutter, and the water would drain. Well, when they put the street in, they raised the street, and then they put curb and gutter in. And actually, the curb is 1 inch higher than my slab that my garage is on right now. But that's what we're looking for. And in conclusion, we're simply just trying to build a new garage in the same location, but scale it what we need and and that it makes sense for our home and doesn't overpower the house or anything like that, and that fit right in. So we'd like to thank you for your time and your considerations, and I'm happy to answer you any questions you guys would have.
I'll save people's questions for the consideration because then we can have a little bit more of a conversation. This is really intended for the public to hear what it is that you're trying to do. And if someone was here and they're like, hang on, I want to make a
Sure.
statement, they would have an opportunity. So we'll close the public hearing and we'll move on to item 6, which is a consideration of action by James and Marissa Smetko, 1304 Deposit Trail. They're requesting a variance for the Monona Municipal Code of Ordinance, section 480-24D7C1, accessory structure street yard setbacks for the purpose of constructing a new detached garage, and that's case Z2-2025. Doug, if you want to kick us off, and probably in the kickoff, if you can clarify the
Yes,
ordinance section.
thank you. Yes, so the request this evening is for a detached accessory garage that does fall within the accessory structures portion of the ordinance. The challenge here, as we have seen with others, is that the accessory structures are not allowed to be forward of the house towards the street. And so the variance here is for that location. I have spoken with the applicants and worked through kind of options, laid out, what could have been possible, other ways for this to be considered. There are no other variances that are needed. Side yard, lot coverage, height, distance from the main structure, all of those things do comply. And so it is the location of item 1 variance that is being requested. All other elements do comply. Really, the staff's read of the ordinance, the same section with the 40% setback has always been that that it is behind the main house. The intent there that storage sheds, detached garages and such would not be forward of the house. And so really that has been and is held steady. So that is the interpretation that we've had and that I've continued. So that's the reason for this, for the variance. We do consider, let's say if this was attached to the main house and it's 26 feet, to the street, if it were attached, it would still be in excess of the street yard setbacks, which would be 30 typically. But we would consider the 40%, between two intersecting streets. But we have not done that. In my time here, before my time, I have not seen one that was done for an accessory structure using the same relief there. So that's the reason that I said that this would need to come through and it's subject to it. Okay.
And just to summarize, the variance, the one variance being requested is an accessory structure in the front yard.
Forward of the house, yes.
Forward of the house, yes.
Correct.
Distance matters or distance not mattering?
I think it's supposed to be at least 30, it's supposed to be at least 40 feet, my understanding, it's supposed to be at least 30 feet setback. But still cannot be forward of the house. So if the house is set, if the house is set back 40 feet, then it's supposed to be 40 feet.
Yeah. So it's
Not
kind of
30
strange
feet.
because it's legal non-compliant right now.
Yeah. That's my understanding, we have a existing non-conforming use.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
And so in essence, it's replacing the current non-conforming item
Yes,
It is expanding.
yeah, and I think.
and an expansion. Yeah.
Yes. So yes, I thank you for bringing that up. So we did share, I know the applicant wants to rebuild the garage just from a structural perspective and things like that. Of course, same for same, in the same location, same dimensions would be permissible without a variance. The expansion of this of course has also necessitated that, but the one ordinance section, as Mr. Schweiger mentioned, it is both the setback that's the 30, it's 26.8, I believe, in the street yard, but that also is the same portion, it can't be forward of the house. So it's kind of,
Yeah.
one piece to
And definitely, we recognize the width of your lot in this
Sure.
conversation.
Oh, no, I
Like,
it's small lot.
Yes,
Yeah,
no.
it's-
this group understands and appreciates like It's not like you can just put this thing next to your house.
Yeah.
We're just
Or
trying to help
behind it.
understand.
Yeah, or necessarily behind it,
Yeah.
given where the.
I think it's
structure
not
is
allowed
located.
behind it, right?
And
It's not allowed.
It's
no,
not allowed
it couldn't
behind
fit,
it.
it couldn't fit behind.
Well,
as
even
far
if
as
it could,
know.
I think it's,
Yeah.
I think it's not allowed to be in this.
Yeah, but it would
situation.
go, it would
Yeah.
go past the shore yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, it can't go in the backyard because it's shore yard.
right,
Can't go next to the structure
there's
because
no room.
it's not wide enough, so therefore,
And it's a 1920 something or 40 something build or whatever it is.
1950s.
1950, whatever build, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think if you look at the garage is, it's like a lot of other garages, back then, they were small.
Mhm.
And then we're fortunate enough to have a 2-car garage, but it's a 16-foot door. And they got 2 foot on each side.
I got a similar problem, side
Yeah.
by side, old
Yeah.
garage,
You can't open your
19.
door.
Yeah, ours is, yeah, I'd say.
late 1950s, early 1960s build, so yeah.
Yeah, and
Lucky
see,
enough to have a 2-car, understand that problem.
Yeah,
yeah.
Barely get 2 cars in there.
Yeah, and barely what I do now on my house is I haven't put a 16-foot garage door in
Mhm.
since 2014.
Sure.
I've put all 18-foot doors
Sure.
in. Just, it's a whole lot easier to pull cars
Can I
in.
ask you a question?
Yes,
Because I'm looking at the picture and I looked at this, all the pictures of this structure when I got the link.
Yeah.
Is this structurally safe?
right now,
garage?
yeah. I mean, it's been that way
Bad
probably the
shape,
last
but-
couple of years,
Yeah.
but the last couple of years have been, last year was the worst for it.
Mhm.
Okay, because of the high water and when the water's high, when it freezes, it gets bad. I mean, it can,
Sure.
it heaves
Yeah.
5, 6, 7 inches and it just cracks the concrete all
How
up.
do you open that door?
It's-
the garage door?
It's heavy, it's a wooden door.
looks like one, yeah.
Yeah.
Is part of the plan, I'm sorry if it's reflected in the plans, but part of the plan here is to elevate it a little bit,
6 inches,
okay, so that you aren't having this water issue.
that's it. And see, then everything from the back to the garage will drain to the street. So basically, what I really have planned is it was supposed to go last year, but because of the high water, the sidewalk, I'm trying to dig down, we're gonna do down 18 to 20 inches and put stone in to eliminate so I get that drainage before winter sets in and I don't get the heating on the whole way. So that's the real key and that's why, but if water comes up this year, the garage has gotta go. It's just like you were saying,
Not gonna make it probably another
it
year.
probably won't make it another year.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, we've been taking stuff out. There's not a whole lot in it anymore. But
Wayne,
it's,
you had a question?
I did. This is more so directed toward Doug. Was there any consideration or why for safety purposes it wasn't attached to the home?
We did discuss that when I met with the applicant, a little more of the building inspector side, but I believe just in terms of the different foundations there, connecting to, we've seen that in the past, that putting 2 adjacent next to one another would be difficult. There is the opportunity for relief, and I have seen others consider this in the past where if this was connected, let's say bring it back a couple feet, if there's a walkway or a breezeway or something that makes it connected, it would be possible, without the need for the variance. But again, I think there were concerns about the 2 slabs, the foundations being next to one another, but also less impervious in this area, this sensitive area near the water. And so this was ultimately the preference in the application that came forward. But were this to be connected, there would be some relief again if it would still need to comply with the 30 feet. So it needs to come back a couple feet, but I think they were some of the reasons why it was not connected.
And if it was connected, you'd have issues with 2 floating slabs trying to connect. And drainage issues that would not be in the benefit for the lake and the community.
It would be more impervious with the.
Yeah.
So
So it would,
I take it the garage is higher than the house right now?
yes.
Okay. All right.
See, the problem with 2 slabs, you're
I
building,
understand.
one's heated, one isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And something will give. especially with the soil conditions down there and the heating.
Two structures moving at different rates and
That's
settling and shifting.
That's it. Could it be done? Yeah,
Yeah, they're
possibly.
kinda, boy.
Everything can be done with more money and
Well,
time.
that's it. But I'm a builder and I know what frost can do. It's just, you know, it's.
The Leaning Tower of Pisa still stands.
Yeah, yeah.
After a lot of money and time.
So hearing some of the discussion, I'm not suggesting people jump the gun, but I've heard a couple of the elements that people have brought up that were
Yeah.
clearly pointing towards a possible motion.
I think what we have to get around is, two things that I'm seeing. I think this is one of those that usually it's a hardship is usually our. Is our hard one to meet in a lot of these. But I mean, to me, when I look at it, it's not the hardship factor that jumps out. It's the. Look, I can pull up my thing. It's the unique physical property limitations because we've got. We've got the ordinance, we got the case law that states that the desire for a larger garage. Doesn't meet that requirement of a physical property limitation. Growing family, having more stuff. Wanting a larger garage doesn't meet that unique physical property limitation. It has to be something that really is to the property itself and not the circumstances of the applicant.
Brad, let me add, Brad, right?
Yes,
Okay, sorry, I just, I was,
yeah, I know, we've only had a few
I know.
days.
So Brad, let me ask you if the unique physical property limitation of it being such a small lot and that this couldn't go anywhere else. If there wasn't a garage right now and they were asking to build one, would that qualify?
That's the question we have to answer.
Well, I'm trying to make sure we're not just like judging this on an expansion that they want more space, like. A garage is a very normal use of property in this day and age. When it obviously wasn't when the house was built. And so,
Yeah, what we're looking at is whether or not. The lot itself has something, and it could be like wetlands that prevent building on a portion of it. You know, it might be in this case, like where the house is located.
well, that's
The
what
house is built more forward, you could put a garage behind the house, but it has to be something unique and specific to the lot and not
Right.
given the circumstances of the parties. And an example that we see all the time is I want a bigger
Sure.
garage.
I mean, it literally says that in here.
Yeah, I mean, it's on the
100%.
thing. That's, I was trying to find it before.
But Jesse, your point is like
Yeah.
well made of like. If a garage didn't exist right now.
Right,
But I think we have a second problem,
which is,
is that existing non-conforming uses are not supposed to be extended, enlarged, reconstructed, substituted, moved, or structurally altered. Under 480 39, if it's existing non-conforming uses, and the same language exists in 840 40. Where they're not supposed to be extended, enlarged, reconstructed, moved, or structurally altered. Except when required by law or order to do so to comply with the provision.
Or by variance,
Yeah.
or, for example, they're gonna tear down this garage before they build the new garage.
Right.
So in essence, I could say I'm not expanding. I'm removing.
and then requesting a new variance.
I'm removing
essentially.
something that's structurally, that thing
Yeah.
looks like it's gonna fall.
And they're asking for a variance to basically,
I mean,
Yeah,
it just.
they're just straight up asking for a variance to build a garage that they can't build anywhere else.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Right, and I'm not saying yes or no, I'm not,
No,
I know,
no,
I'm just
but I mean,
identifying the issues.
I feel like those
Yeah.
can be arguments for,
Yeah,
I think you're helping us.
Yeah.
create The argument of
We
like.
need
how
to
do
narrow
we-
in on these
just to me,
issues.
because to me, and I won't make the argument yet, but like, to me, the unnecessary hardship is. It's a very reasonable use of a property to have a garage on it. Right, and this, and complying with this ordinance, if we're talking about tearing the garage down and rebuilding it. That would prevent them from using their property for a garage, the variance would be preventing them from doing that, and the unique physical property limitation is. There's a house on the property, there's nowhere else they can build a garage, so to me, a new garage.
Yeah, I think the desire to have more pervious
Mhm, would be added in.
would be added,
Mhm,
I mean, cause they could move the garage back and connect it or do a breezeway or do something like that. And then maybe it's a less of a
and
variance
it's
or
a
something,
hardship
but
for
we're,
the land.
but it, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we have the lake to consider and
Yeah.
those goals that the city has and we have
Less overall
Yeah, I mean that, and then the narrowness in the lot and just where the building envelope
Is
is right
this,
now. sitting
cause
so far
I
back.
couldn't tell, how far back is this from the meander line? Is this in compliance
The
even, the
house or
house?
the, oh, the house, the house.
So there's
Yeah, it
no,
doesn't
there's
look
no
like- yeah, there's
structure on your
The house is
property.
existing.
They're gonna have to build
non-conforming.
it.
Nothing is
You're gonna
compliant.
have to build a tent that like stands.
Yeah.
I
so-
didn't focus on the house, cause I.
I know, but
But
it's
almost all the houses back there.
No, I know,
are
but
on the
it's
street.
To me, it's another thing, it's like they
It
can't do
speaks to
anything
the-
on their own property
Yeah.
because of ordinances
Yeah,
that
if
have
we were to
come
tear the
after
house and the
them.
garage down, you wouldn't be able to have a house and a
After it was
garage on your
built.
lot, like, it just wouldn't
It's,
work, so.
that's a hardship.
You want me to make?
Doug, when you were looking at when you were hearing those pieces, are you able to help us put
Did you
together?
get it all down?
figure it out? Because I think we've talked through the different elements that I think we're getting at for a possible motion.
I think if I have more, certainly there was more discussion, but if the maker and the if there is a motion, if the maker and the second could just kind of pull it doesn't need to be fully, but I could reference what's already been mentioned, but I would ask kind of run through.
Sure.
the motion.
I can make the motion then. I would move that we approve the variance because there's an unnecessary hardship because the structure of the property, if they were building a new garage, would prevent them from having a garage on their property at all, which would be, unreasonably burdensome on them. The unique physical property limitations, item 2, is the lot is so small, there is nowhere else to put said garage. And while we can all acknowledge that if we were starting completely from scratch, there might be a different way to do this. In the interest of not harming the public interest, this is the best way to do it without further disturbing the property. So that would be my motion.
And no harm to public interest.
There's several neighbors that have signed a
I
statement.
mean, it's,
Saying they're fine with it.
Before we get a second, Doug, do you need any more clarity?
No, I think I have that.
Okay,
Thank you.
is there a second?
I would second, and I would just add, and I don't know, Jesse, if you said it or not, but just the unique physical property limitation being that to do it in conformity, you're harming wetland on the property because
yeah, it's
I don't know if you said that.
in order to do it in compliance, you would be almost have to harm the public interest to do it in compliance.
I would say the narrowness of the lot plays into it for me, and also where the existing home is set so far back, also existing non-conforming locations, there's really no other place to put.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would be a permissible build if they just wanted to level it and build new?
Yeah.
Which I think goes into the hardship
Yeah.
Mhm.
factor of,
It
it's just, it's unreasonable to expect a homeowner when they're doing a remodel or repair like this to completely start from scratch.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Any other questions? or
Oh, I
comments?
second, yeah, no. No, I just was seconding.
Again,
I wanted to do it again, yeah.
It's very exciting.
Second.
Want to get in the
all right,
mix.
so we have a motion and a second. No further comments or questions or concerns. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, variance has been approved.
Oh, thank you.
Good.
Really
I
appreciate
thank you very much. I really do.
We really are looking
Um,
forward to a new garage.
Stressful, very
Yeah.
stressful.
No, we completely understand and
That area is tough.
it's very,
Yes.
and
Oh,
Yeah,
it really
all those
is.
lots look
Really
Yeah,
tough.
it's a great area, it's just tough.
Oh,
We love
we live
it.
on the right end of a dead end.
Love
My
it.
kids played that part.
Well, they really, like I say, the real key part of it is the neighbor has some little children.
Sure.
And we've got our cars parked in the driveway all the time.
Oh, you
'cause
got
can't
back
go in the
out?
drive- And well, it's just not that big.
It's
Yeah.
Across to the
Yeah.
park.
Oh.
And it's like, the people in the neighborhood know, but down there, there's so much traffic that they come down just to look and then they go, and then they go over the bridges. I mean, and they don't know, that there's so many kids down there that
Oh, there's
it's really a
parking.
dangerous situation. It can be.
Yeah.
But but I thank you very much.
And thank you
We're
for your
gonna,
time.
I got it scheduled for week of May 5th. To be poured out, you know?
Yeah.
But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you. Thanks, Doc.
All right, we can move on to item 7. We have next meeting is May 15th and June 19th. Do we anticipate?
I do, for May, I've actually done 2 applications.
Doug, I won't be here for that.
I may not be either. I'll have to check. I might have work travel that week, so
Let me.
I might be able to join via Zoom.
I'll send a doodle poll to make sure just before I send notices out and such. that
Yeah.
We need to push, I can let them know, but.
Do you know if the packets are on? Are they similar builds or?
What's the date?
It's on the
May.
the request type, or,
Yeah.
yeah, one of them. Is the shore yard setback, primary structure.
June 19th.
They both are.
Okay.
Got it.
I will, but I'll send that out, thank you for.
And then any additional updates or discussion regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts as well as sustainability efforts? Anything from staff? Nothing from staff. Any from committee members? Nothing from me. We have a sustainability element tonight.
Did.
Yep, all right, excellent.
Good
And
for
item 8, need a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
A second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Yeah, you guys come to this meeting, not the.